welcome to another episode of the Big Womaning Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and what it means to be a big woman. And as I always say, that doesn't necessarily mean anything about size, unless you want it to. It's about women becoming pillars of the community, becoming wise, becoming into themselves, learning about themselves, and being inspirational to other people. That's what it means to be a big woman. So welcome to episode 7 and the final episode for this season. Where has the time gone? That is crazy. And who am I? I hear you ask from behind your screen. I am Jordan. I go by Jordan Speaks on Instagram and on TikTok. And I am the host of this podcast. So welcome. It's good to see you guys. Thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't done that, go and do it now. Pause the recording. If you're listening on YouTube, pause. Go and press the subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, because these are the only 2 platforms I've been able to work out so far, go and follow the podcast. Follow. You guys have to connect with us. Connect with the podcast so that you know what's going on. And so when I start to introduce polls and questionnaires, you want to be involved in that. You do. You don't want to miss out. So don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say I didn't warn you. Go and follow and subscribe. Thank you very much. But let's get into this week's episode, the last episode of the season. But let's get into it. So as you guys should know by now, I love Reddit Am I the Arsehole stories. You guys know that. It's my favorite thing. And every episode I will discuss a scenario. And this episode is no different. So let's jump straight into it. This week's Am I the Arsehole is... The thing is, let me just say, I read this before while I was getting ready, preparing for the podcast. And it annoyed me to my core. It annoyed me to my core. So I need you guys to let me know if it annoys you as well, because I was like, what? What's happened? But anyway. Sorry, someone's making loads of noise. Anyway, am I the arsehole for ruining my sister-in-law's birthday dinner because she encouraged her kids to pull a prank? Okay. And the summary is I cried and walked out of my sister-in-law's birthday lunch because she encouraged her kids to steal and hide my glasses. That's the summary. So the longer version, my husband and I, 38F, went to my sister-in-law's house for her birthday. It's quite a long drive, so we drove up the day before and stayed overnight in the spare room. The birthday meal was going to be midday. She has 2 kids aged 4 and 7. Husband and I went in separate cars as we were coming from different workplaces to get there. Okay, cool. So they've organised to go to the sister's house to go and chill before the birthday dinner. Cool. I am very short-sighted and literally can't see 1 foot in front of my face without my glasses. Oh no. Every night I take them off and put them on the nightstand right where I know I can reach them in the morning. Now apparently, sister-in-law thought it would be a funny prank to get her kids to sneak into the room. I sleep with earplugs because my husband's a loud snorer, and take and hide my glasses. Do you see? I know this is not the last episode, but we will have a discussion about boundaries. One day on this podcast, we will have a discussion about boundaries because this sister-in-law has no boundaries. And actually, encouraging your children to also have no boundaries is not cool. But let me continue. In the morning of her birthday, I couldn't find my glasses on the nightstand. I had to ask my husband to help in case they had fallen off and under the bed or something. We couldn't find them anywhere because the kids have them. I was really distraught because, as I said, I'm literally almost non-functional without them. Husband helped me down to breakfast and I explained that I wouldn't be able to take part in the birthday meal and I couldn't drive myself home. I was really upset. They are also expensive glasses I have because I have to get thin lenses. So these are expensive glasses. Like, this is not a joke. These are expensive glasses that she has because she needs them. Yeah, so basically she's saying she can't go to the birthday dinner. And you know what? You can't go because you can't see. So, fair. So sister-in-law let this go on until they were literally about to go for her birthday lunch. I'd not been able to do much at all up until this point because I can't see. And she's put that in capital letters. Then she jokingly said to her kids, okay, that's enough, I think. Go get them. And the kids ran off to fetch my glasses where they'd hidden them. She said not to blame them at all. I don't. And it was her idea and just a bit of harmless fun. I put my glasses on, got in my car, said nothing at all, and just drove home. My husband is on my side and has apologized on my sister-in-law's behalf, saying that she thought I would see the funny side. He is apologetic and offered to skip her birthday meal as well and come home. But he is being apologetic, not her. I've had enough. Do you know what? I also think the reason why this annoyed me is because I think there's sometimes people will use pranks as a guise to just be mean and nasty. I think this is a mean and nasty thing this sister-in-law has done. And you've also got your children involved so that you can't even be cussed out because your children are involved. So, you know, don't blame the children. Well, no one's going to blame a 4 and 7-year-old for what you've told them to do. But you've got them to, almost like a human shield so that no one can come to you and say, why did you do that? And you're not being apologetic. It's awful. Anyway, I've had nothing from the sister-in-law except from an angry WhatsApp message to the group, not directly to me, but to the family group, saying that her birthday has been ruined because someone couldn't take a joke. Apparently, after I left, she had a meltdown about how the day was ruined because I drove off and the kids were upset. It is genuinely distressing for me to not be able to see, but I see how she might have thought this would be funny to get her kids to do. Am I the asshole? And there's an edit. I feel bad that the kids think they are the reason I was upset or that they did something wrong. Girl, your sister-in-law is the biggest asshole of them all, and you are not the asshole. Simple as that. She's mean. Maybe for whatever reason, she doesn't like her. Maybe it just feels, it's giving me like mean girl behavior, and we're just gonna laugh it off. And if anyone challenges you and your behavior, then you're just going to make them feel bad for making you feel bad. No accountability at all. I'm so happy this woman got in her car with her glasses and drove home, because you know what? I would have done the same. And I'm also happy that her husband supports her, because I've seen different Am I the Arseholes where the husband is not supporting the wife at all. But this is nice. He supported her. He's apologized, but he also, probably because he knows his sister is a wrong'un as well. Girl, you're not the asshole. Your sister-in-law is. So this week's big womaning chat, because every week we have a chat about what's been going on, is about consistency. And I chose this chat to be about consistency because this is my last episode of the season, and I have done 7 episodes now, back to back. And I think if you've been with me from the first episode, you'll hear that I say, like, I have for a long time been thinking about doing a podcast, but I have not been able to consistently start one. And this is going to be a test of my consistency. And here we are, episode 7. Not 1 week, last week episode went out a bit late, but not 1 week missed. And I just want to say I am so proud of myself. And actually, any of you who are out there starting new things, trying out new things, working on your consistency, trying to improve how you show up in the world. It's not easy, but if you're doing it, congratulations. And you should be proud of yourself too. So let's just have a very brief chat about consistency and the importance of consistency. Because even though I've got to go and edit this podcast now, after I finish with you guys, I am so happy that actually I can sit down with myself and say I completed a whole season of the Big Women in podcast without any breaks, and believe me, there were a couple weeks where I was like, I don't know if an episode's coming out, can't even lie. Then I was like, no, come on, Jordan, let's do this properly. Let's get an episode out. Let's put it up. Let's see how it goes. And I'm proud of myself. So I found this article just about consistency. There's a quote here from Dwayne Johnson. Usually we only quote women on this podcast, but it's a great quote. Do you know what? Dwayne Johnson, he was my first, as The Rock, he was my first proper, celebrity crush. I bought his book and everything. Did you know he had a book? Must have been about 15 years ago, he wrote a book. I read that book. Forward, back, forward. That book was next to me on my bed. I loved that book. I love The Rock, and I love him still. But he says, success isn't always about greatness, it's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come. I love it. I absolutely love it. And this article just talks about the importance of consistency in achieving goals, because I don't know if you're like me, but I know that I will set a goal, and I have big goals, they're lofty goals, as they should be. If your goals are not big, then what's the point? Go big or go home, right? So big goals, but the journey to achieve those goals is difficult because my consistency will not be what it needs to be. And going back to that quote, if success is based on consistency, then you have to be consistent. Otherwise, you can have all the goals in the world, but not be able to achieve them. So this article says, ultimately, what separates successful people from unsuccessful people is their... Oh, let me have some tea, hold on. Is their consistency in taking action, even when they don't feel motivated. Being consistent is more important than being motivated, especially for long-term goals. And I get that. I get it. I understand that. And the reason is simple, it says. Consistency leads to momentum. The more consistent you do something, the easier it becomes. And the more momentum you build up. Eventually, what was once a struggle becomes a habit. And habits are hard to break. That's why consistency is so important. It is the key to making lasting change. And I mean, what other message could I send to you guys, and a bit of a self-drag on the final episode of this podcast? What else can be said? I think I've definitely learned over these last 7 weeks with you guys, over this last 7-8 weeks of making this podcast, just how important consistency is, and actually taking that forward into my next season, which will be coming in the new year. It's just something that I have to give the importance to, because as I said, you can have all the goals, but without the consistency, and not even just the goals, all the things, everything, but without the consistency, it's gonna not get you to where you need to go. So I'm gonna keep on showing up. I'm gonna keep on trying new things. I'm gonna get where they say, once the struggle becomes a habit, and habits are hard to break, I'm going to make it a habit. So it's going to be a habit to me. So when I wake up on a Tuesday or Wednesday to make this podcast, it's going to be like, oh, I need to do that. It's a habit. The same way that I make my cup of tea in the morning, every morning, which you guys probably see on my TikTok, is the habit that I want to have when it comes to my goals. And it's also going to be important for me to build my consistency into my daily routine. Because that's the other thing. I'm trying to be, I will be more habit forming, but good habits, because I find that I'm somebody that what I need to do needs to fit into my day. If it's completely different to what I'm doing in my day, it is so hard for me to then transition into doing something, or transition into changing a routine. It's all about the routines and habits for me. And it's lovely that this article links that to consistency, because I will definitely be taking that forward. The book I would recommend on this actually is the 5-Day Work Week. And and he talks about 5 days. That's a normal 5 hour. Anyway, I'll put it in there somewhere. Maybe in the details of the show. I'll put something in there. But he talks about forming like routines around what it is that you want to do. And I absolutely am going to be doing this all of 2024, making my actions habits so that they will be consistent, and I'll build up the momentum, and this podcast will go everywhere. So yeah, I'm excited. So before we wrap up the last episode of this season, you guys know that I always come with a quote, a final quote from a big woman. Yeah. Because who else should we learn from if it's not another big woman? And this week's quote comes from the one and only, and it is the one and only, Serena Williams. I feel like you all know who she is. She just had a baby number 2. I think she had another little girl. Lovely. She is a professional tennis player and who has won more Grand Slam singles titles than any man or woman in the Open era. And you know what? That says it all. She just wins everything. She just wins everything. And I love that for Serena. And because I think to myself, if I was Serena and I've just won everything, I think I'd probably just be like, okay, well, I've won it now. Let me just kind of like retire. I think she's retired now, isn't it? But she retired after winning everything repetitively. I feel like maybe the first time I won everything, I'd be like, okay, this has been great. I'm probably just going to chill now. I might just, sleep for a while and take it easy. But not our Serena. She was just winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. Went away, had a baby, came back, won, winning, continued to win, won some more. And we love that for her. So this is a quote from our Serena Williams. The success of every woman should be the inspiration to another. We should raise each other up. Make sure you're very courageous. Be strong. Be extremely kind. And above all, be humble. And she is. She's all of those things. And I love this quote. And it's a great quote to end on. I absolutely love it. Do you know what? I think her film, what is the film? Her film about her childhood. I think it's just come out on Prime. I might even watch it later on today. But it really helps you. I think it's King Richard. And it's about her dad and everything. It really helps you to understand like the motivation and where her motivation comes from. And that dad, although he had his flaws, yes, he did. Yes, he did. I'm even surprised the film really kind of tackled some of the difficulties there. But the one thing that man did was instill consistency and confidence in his daughters. And I love that for them, Serena and Venus. And I also didn't know that there were so many other siblings. That I thought it was just these two, and that's why the family just focused on these two. But no, there were other siblings who have all gone on to do great things, and I think that's amazing. So thank you for Serena for this quote. We're going to take it forward. Thank you. And that is it. That is it for episode 7 of the Big Womaning podcast. The last episode of the season. We will be back in 2024 with another season. It might look a bit different. I'm working on some things, but it will be back. It will be consistent. It will be great. But you guys have these episodes now, so you can listen to them. If you haven't listened to the other episodes, so 1 to 6, go and listen on YouTube or on Spotify. If you want to know about when the next season is coming out, and I'm sure you do, why would you not? Subscribe to the channel. Follow me at Jordan Speaks on Instagram and TikTok. That's where I spend most of my life. And also follow the podcast on Spotify. But thanks for hanging in there with me, guys. Thanks for being here on the journey. Season 1 was great. There were some big discussions, especially around episode 4 and 5, I'd say. We spoke a lot about Kiki Palmer. We spoke a bit about Cassie and Diddy. We tackled a few things this season. But we'll be back bigger and better next season. Thank you guys. Have a great day. I'm Jordan Speaks, and I'm out.